This is the 108th PGA Championships. We're coming to you live from the Independent Sports Studios in Aronimink. And I'm joined at the end of an enthralling fourth round by the beautiful Brian Keogh. Brian, what are you laughing for?
You never lost it, Paul.
Brian, let's start with some images of the day.
Mm-hmm.
This is a photo of this morning's Irish Independent. This is a photo of this morning's New York Times. And this is a photo of you hard at work in the media centre this evening when every other journalist was having dinner.
Really?
Yeah. Now, let's go to that report, to your report. Rory McIlroy did not even try to hide his disappointment after suffering rough justice and finishing with 4 bogeys in a row to open with a title-damaging 74 in the 108th PGA Championships at Aronimink. Asked to describe his 4-over par opening round, he wasted little energy. Shit. Now you work for the Irish Independent, not the New York Times, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you know how I know that, Brian?
No.
Because the New York Times would never allow the use of the word shit.
Mm-hmm.
I say never. They would only use it if it was used uttered by Donald J. Trump, the president. Same with fuck.
Right.
They would never ever print fuck unless it was Donald J. Trump.
Mm-hmm.
They would never do that. Do you think, and here's the question, do you think that that's the reason why they have 13 million more subscribers than we have?
I don't know. We were debating the asterisks, whether we put the asterisks in it or not amongst the Irish journalists. And so we leave it up to the desk. I think asterisk, asterisk T might have made the headline.
Well, it's funny.
But the copy, full Monty made the copy.
Full Monty. Do you know, and actually, this is true, because I had a long discussion with one of the American journalists about this. Shite is okay. Like, they would actually use shite, but not shit, apparently. I prefer shite myself.
It summed it up anyway, pretty nicely.
It summed it up. I worked for a great editor who loved the word shite. Anyway, clearly we'll never make it here, Brian.
I don't know.
Now, let's try and explain that word then. You said it was appropriate, and I don't think anybody would argue with you.
Yeah, I mean, the first 9 holes, it was nothing much was happening with Rory McIlroy all day. I mean, he made a bogey on the first hole because he hit it into that rough, and it was, the rough here is pretty horrific. Only hack it down the fairway. And, he birdied the next hole, and he was trundling along making pars, and then all of a sudden, he made a birdie, he made a bogey, and then just got on a bogey train over the last few holes. Couldn't hit a fairway. He was just losing it right. Lost confidence.
And that was the key, the driver.
Yeah, the driver.
And he said something kind of interesting, which is obvious again. Like, he hasn't driven it well this year.
No. He didn't drive it well at the Masters. He was all over the place at the Masters, and the short game was unbelievable. But you could get away with it a little bit more there, even though there are more trees there than there are here, funnily enough. But he, and he sort of thought he had a crack at Quail Hollow. Didn't drive it well on the Saturday. Had a bit of a range session. Went out on the Sunday, 67, and thought, that's great. But then he said, under the caution today, when I was under the gun, I think was the word he expressed, I didn't have it, So he was spending a lot of time after his lunch, spent a good bit of time on the range. You saw him coming off. Yeah,
well, I heard. I didn't actually see him coming off, but I was told he was in pretty good form coming off.
So
and certainly not too despondent.
He needs a round anyway tomorrow. He's 4 over par.
Yeah.
Top 70 make the cut. He's 2 shots outside that. But he's only 7 shots off the lead. So
and again, four bogeys. Finish with 4 bogeys. That will really irritate him.
Yeah, he was. He was very down about it. He was more down, about the bogeys especially, but more about that he just couldn't get a handle on the driving. It's been annoying a little bit this season, and we'll see if he was as happy as people say he was coming off that range. Maybe we'll see something better in the afternoon tomorrow. Okay.
Now let's stay with the theme, the words theme. I'm thinking of one used by Shane Lowry and one you used, Brian, that I had to look up. Shane's word was nervy. Let's start with Shane's word. Nervy, yes. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I saw him actually, coming out of the locker room, heading down towards the tee, getting up on the tee, being announced, got a great cheer, and then he hit it so far right. I mean, it was right of the ropes, and he was a little bit, I mean, he didn't have a great finish to the Masters. He wants to do well this week. He's on tenterhooks. It's a tough course. He likes tough courses, and he was a bit on edge, which is not a bad sign if you're nervy.
Well, he said that, didn't he? It actually keeps him focused when he's like that.
Yeah. Which was so it was actually turned out to be a good thing, that it just kept him, on it.
Yeah.
During the day, and he was especially. He made the point that he had to be, very disciplined in what he did. If he made a mistake, just to take it on the chin, because maybe the final round of the Masters, a couple of mistakes early on seemed to get to him, and he kind of just let it slip away. Whereas today, when he made a mistake, he took his punishment. Pitched it up as close to the green as he could. Very disciplined. And he played a lovely round. He played a lovely round of golf. Birdied the last hole as well, which is always nice. Got a nice little kick off the top of the bunker. It was pushed a little bit right, but not too far, and dribbled in the putt as well. So he played nicely today, Shane, very nicely.
Yeah.
And he was tired. You could see that he was tired at the end of his round. He didn't want to do much press because it's a quick turnaround, and. The focus I think it took to put that round together today, because it was 5.5 hours. It was cold, it was windy, it was at the end of the field. People were getting ready to go home. There was distractions, so I thought he did well.
Yeah, tougher in the afternoon or the morning?
Yeah, it was a bit tougher in the afternoon. There was a spell there around about, maybe an hour and a half, an hour into Shane's round, where it got up to, there was 30, 35 kilometre an hour, gusts, crosswinds as well, which made those fairways, which look wide, play an awful lot more narrow, because the ball is moving, obviously, left to right or right to left, and getting a firm bounce, and you trickle into, and it's not into, like, the first cut is heavy enough. It doesn't take much to go into the second cut of rough, and then you're really struggling. It's very sticky.
So I think the other thing that struck me about the press conference he gave, brief as it was cautiously optimistic, I suppose you would describe it as.
Yeah, I suppose when you've had as many disappointments as he's had this year,
he not getting ahead of himself.
No, I think even if he's 10 shots ahead with 3 holes to play, he won't be getting ahead of himself. But the long way to go before that. But I think he struck the ball well today. He hit a lot of fairways. Put it nicely, played the par. He dropped a couple of shots on the par 3s, but they're ridiculously hard.
Yeah,
two of the 3 toughest holes are par 3s.
And great for us, because after the morning we had with Podrick 4 over as well, and Tom McKibben 4 over, we were looking at booking flights home for Saturday.
I know, yeah, and I mean, Podrick didn't hold much at all. I mean, I think he made 1 birdie, and that was the longest putt he hole, about an 8-footer. Could have had a couple of birdies in the first 2 holes. He was as white hitting it in the rough.
Yeah.
And Tom actually drove the ball not too badly at all, but he hasn't been putting great, this year, and a couple of 3 putts here and there. He had a tough day in the greens. Right.
Now, the word you used, Brian, I actually had to look it up.
Marmalade, no.
No, not marmalade, but almost marmalade. I asked you how Scottie was playing, and you said he was metronome. So I had to look up what metronome actually means. A metronome, a metronome is a device that produces a steady rhythmic pulse, like a ticking clock or bleep, to help musicians play in exact time.
There you go.
That's pretty
you
impressive.
You learn something new every day, Paul.
That's a good description. That's a good description of how he played.
He only missed 1 fairway, which is a bit scary.
You might get a job at the New York Times. I have no chance.
Well, you never know. You never know. You're looking in the big city. I don't know. Getting it. Yeah, I wouldn't be putting the pension. But no, he was. Rory has used a word to describe that guy: relentless, inevitable. And he hasn't been getting off to great starts this year. And suddenly he's, 3 under, hits whatever, misses 1 fairway all day, holds putts. I think he's pretty happy with himself. He was playing down the fact that it's the first time in, I think it's 25 or 27 majors he's played, that he's ever had the lead. He says, well, the lead, come on, there's 7 million of us tied for the lead. There's 7 tied for the lead. So he was playing it down a little bit. But it's a good, it's ominous.
He's finished second in his last 3 tournaments. Yeah. Second to Rory at the Masters, second to Fitzpatrick at Hilton Head, no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, playoff, yeah.
And then second in Doral, wasn't he second in Doral?
Was he second in Doral? Okay, my memory is gone at this hour of the night.
Wasn't it? I think it was. I think he was second in Doral to Cameron Young, yeah.
Right.
That's incredible.
Right, yeah, he's just incredibly consistent.
Metronome.
Yeah, he is. He is a metronome, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, that's the course suits him.
Now, Brian, I used the word enthralling at the top, and that would certainly apply to the leaderboard. Some fascinating stats there. 33 players within 2 shots of the lead, 48 players within 3 shots of the lead, 66 within 4 shots, and 92 players within 5 shots of the lead. And that lead is a 7-way tie between Aldrich Potgieter, a South African, Stephen Jaeger, a German, Minwoo Lee from Australia, Ryo Hatsatsune from Japan, Martin Keimer from Germany, Scottie Scheffler from the US, and Alex Smalley from the US. So 7 players tied for the lead, and then a 7-way tie for 8th place includes 3 major champions: Xander Schauffele, Patrick Reed, and Shane.
Yeah.
Now, the one that jumps out for me from that leaderboard is Martin Keimer from Germany, 2010 PGA champion, 2014 US Open winner at Pinehurst, a phenomenal player whose game has just gone to dirt.
Yeah, Live Golf, Ryder Cup hero, unbelievable player.
Yeah.
Unbelievable player.
You heard a great story about
him. I did. You know, he came in after his round. And there was the Champions Dinner on Tuesday. So they're not all here, obviously. Tiger's not here. Phil's not here. There's a few other people not here. You know, Padraig was there. Scottie Scheffler was there. You know, I think Padraig was sitting opposite Scottie Scheffler, actually. Anyway, Kamer's there, and he's sitting beside some guy from the PGA of America who run the show. And he says to Kamer, he says, "So are you playing anymore? Are you playing these days?" And he goes, "What do you mean am I playing? Are you playing this week?" "Yeah, of course I'm playing this week. I didn't come all the way over to America to have a New York trip with you guys." And he said, you know, it motivated me. You know, it kind of aggravated him a bit that he thought he was finished. He's only 41.
Right.
You know, so yeah. So that was a nice line, and he's got a good sense of humour, Kamer, actually. You know, so it was good to see him.
Clearly.
Well, he's got a great sense of humour to take it. I'd love to have been a fly on the wall.
A great sense of humour, and to finish then. Padraig, I mean, one of my memories of the week so far, best favourite memories was, moments rather, was on Wednesday when Padraig and Shane and Rory played the practice round. Played 9 holes together.
Yeah, Ayora was playing as well, wasn't he? The Spaniard, a little bit, yeah.
Yes. But, you know, the 3 boys playing together, like 10 majors between them. Incredible.
Yeah.
We'll never see that again.
No, these are the good days. These are the good days, Paul. Who knows when it'll come around again, if ever.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Anyway, we hope it'll be 11 majors by the time the weekend's finished. But we'll see how things go tomorrow.
Absolutely.
See you then.